Hello. Hello, everyone. I think we're starting a little late. I'm sorry about that. But we're all good. Hello. Hope you guys are doing great. It's almost the weekend, and I'm excited to talk to you today. So, first of all, welcome to Testkube office hours, where we open our virtual office doors to you to talk about all things testing in Kubernetes and, just update you on what we're doing, the cool features that the devs are building, and just anything related to testing in Kubernetes, of course. So today I'm really excited about the topic that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about load testing in Kubernetes, and this is such an important practice that is, just universally acknowledged just how important and relevant it is to ensure good quality in our applications. So I'm going to go through the agenda real quick. We'll do the usual, cover really briefly just what load testing is, some of the load testing best practices that we recommend, specifically, obviously, when you're dealing with Kubernetes applications, right? Then some load testing tools, just cover or brush over them a little bit, and then how to do load testing with Testkube. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to simply cover what load testing is. And I'm pretty sure that if you're watching this, you're probably already familiar with what load testing is. You probably already put it in practice. But exactly what is load testing? Well, load testing is a type of performance testing. And we actually touched up on it a while ago on one of our first office hours in the last couple of months, where we actually went over performance testing and we dove deep into the different types of performance testing. And one of them was load testing. So load testing is a type of performance testing that helps us simulate different loads to check the performance of our system, under certain conditions and certain scenarios, to see how our application will behave. Let's say, for example, that we want to release this web application and we're expecting a ton of users. So we simulate that with load testing and see if our web application and our infrastructure is stable enough to make it through that huge load, right? So that is pretty much load testing. So there's definitely different types of techniques. There's stress testing, there's spike testing, there's soak testing, yada, yada, yada. And these are great for maximizing the capacity of our software application, determine if our latest infrastructure changes or updates are capable of maintaining the application and making it usable under these loads. Determine sustainability, find out the total amount of users actually that it can sustain, determine scalability, which is super important when we're working with Kubernetes applications, because we are working with really big applications, right? And then, of course, just allow for more people to come and use our software. So now we'll touch on some best practices that we really recommend, specifically when we're talking about when you're getting started with your testing system and when you're trying to transition, or you've already transitioned into using Kubernetes. So the first thing that I want to touch up on is the importance of starting small. So like I said, with load testing, you ideally want to be able to test these huge loads that are coming to your application. But before running these large scale load tests, we really recommend that you start with small scale tests to make sure that your application will work as expected. So you gradually increase. This will help you identify and fix any issues before you throw everything at it. So you start gradually with small scale tests. The second one is using real world scenarios. Obviously, simulate as much as you can, because this is crucial to understanding how your application will actually behave and perform under specific conditions that are very likely to happen. This can include, simulating user behavior, network latency, and any other variable that can impact performance and that you know is something that is highly likely to happen. Another thing is monitoring your infrastructure. So you're throwing all these scenarios and loads into your application. So it is very critical that you actually monitor your Kubernetes infrastructure when you're doing this as well. So this can help you identify performance bottlenecks, other issues. And how can you do this? You can do this by monitoring CPU and memory usage under these loads, network traffic, of course, and any other metric that impacts application performance. What we recommend here is using observability tools. So using traces to check how your application's doing, your application health. And slight plug here, but we really recommend that you use trace test for this. So check it out. It's pretty great for monitoring the infrastructure under these conditions. Finally, and super important, is to use load testing tools that are designed for Kubernetes. So there are several load testing tools that are available specifically for Kubernetes environments that are Kubernetes friendly, I would say. This can include, K6, Gatling, and Locust, which we'll talk about in a little bit ahead in the next slide, actually. These are tools that are designed to support or work really well with Kubernetes and can really help you simplify the load testing process because you don't have to do anything to adjust it, right? It will just work out of the box. Now we're going to cover some load testing tools, so actually the three ones, the last three I mentioned. So we have K6, Gatling, and Locust. K6 is open source. It's specifically designed for modern architectures like Kubernetes, of course, and it offers a simple scripting language. So you just use JavaScript, and then that's it. You have your scripts where you can simulate different loads, and it also supports distributed load testing, which is great for Kubernetes environments where you want to test multiple things at once. Then we also have Gatling, which is another popular open source tool that actually comes with a very user-friendly interface and provides you with real-time monitoring of performance metrics. So it can easily be integrated with Kubernetes using the Kubernetes plugin that it comes with. Then you have Locust. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's also an open source load testing tool. So all of these are open source, which is great. Locust offers simple, also very intuitive interface. So it's very easy to get started. It also supports distributed load testing, and it can be easily integrated with Kubernetes as well with its Kubernetes plugin. So the last two come with out-of-the-box support. Specifically, they already have a Kubernetes plugin, and K6 can be implemented very easily with their scripting structure. So now we've covered the tools, and I will go a little bit into how you would get started with actually running some load tests with Testkube. So we'll do a little bit of K6. Like I told you, it's very simple to just write a script and then see it in action. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to create a simple test. Let me just... Okay, so you'll see my very geeky wallpaper. But okay, so I have VS Code over here, and then I have a Testkube Cloud. So remember that you have to sign into Testkube Cloud. That's all it takes to start testing. So sign into Testkube Cloud. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a test. So I'm going to show you a little bit how that works over here. So once you're signed into Testkube Cloud, all you would have to do is, after creating your environment, setting it up, and creating your first agent, installing your agent, then you would just create a test over here. So let's say that I would name it app load test. And we would create K6 script. I did mention this, but we also support JMeter, which is another load testing tool. And we'll touch up on that in the future with some really cool updates that we did to the JMeter executor. So stay on the lookout because that's coming very soon. But anyway, so the source for this can be either your GitHub repository, the script itself as a file, or the script itself as a string, which is pretty handy if you just want to check real quick. But let's create a file over here. So I'm here on VS Code. And then I'm going to create a file named just like that. It's going to be a JavaScript file. And then what we're going to do is we're going to import from K6. I have my Copilot is trying to help me out. The real one. Anyway, so yeah, we import that from K6 as well. Don't forget your semicolons. I'm a semicolon girl. And then we're going to create the little, we're going to create a script. What are we going to do with this script? Ideally, we're just going to check for different loads. So it starts through stages, of course. Then we set one. Actually, Copilot is doing everything for me. Pretty cool. We're gonna set it to actually. So this is a duration of 30 seconds. 100 users simulating 100 users. A load of 100 users. We'll go a little lower so it's faster. So let's say that for 5 seconds. Let's try a target of 20. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add another one of another 5 seconds, but this time we're gonna target 10. And then that's it. So we're going to close that. So we're going to close that. Close that. Yeah, pretty great. And then we're going to create the function that executes it all. So what we're going to do is we're going to, oh, it's right here. Because I've run it before. Maybe. Okay. We're going to get that URL, and that's what we're going to be testing. All right. So this is the URL that we're going to be testing. Oops. Like that. And then we're going to check status. Like that. Yeah, exactly. What we want is that we get an HTTP result 200, which means that it was successful, right? And that's it. So let's just make sure that it's all correct. Then we're going to save that. Like I said, it's saved as this. So when we're creating our test, we're going to import it as a file. So we're going to import it as a file, and then we're going to browse. Let me just check over here. There we go. We've created it. Let's hit that. And now we can check the definition of our test over here. And as you can see, there's our script over there. And it's defined as a custom resource definition. So we can run the test now. And we can display the logs. And we can actually see the load testing happening in real time, which is pretty cool. Get our logs. Okay. It should run. It's running. It's running. Okay. So you can see it's iterating and completing the simulations. Okay. So now we'll run it again. We'll run it several times, actually. Let's just do it. Just go ham on it. Okay. It's not showing the logs there, but it should. Let's see. Okay, there you go. So I just needed to reload. Sorry about that. But as you can see, it was 100% success, right? 44 tests completed and 0 interrupted in iterations. So that's pretty, what does that mean? That means exactly the way that we tested over here with our targets. We always got that HTTP response of 200. So it was always a success regardless of, the load that was coming. So this is great for simulating, visits on your app, on your web app in this case. And what the other thing that we can do is we can also schedule it. So let's say that we want to do these load tests, I don't know, every hour. It's a smoke test. Every 5 minutes as a smoke test, more so. Or if you want to trigger it every time that you make changes to your infrastructure or to your code, or you make a new push or a new deployment, then you can test if it's going to work, with the changes that you deployed. So as you can see, it's running every single time, which is great. That means the software works as expected and it's sustaining the amount of load that we're expecting. And that's pretty much it. You can, what I said before with triggering it based on deployments, on new pushes, on code changes and whatnot, you can do that over here on test triggers. I'll link you guys to the documentation. Just there. And there's so many guys. We have so many guys. Our team works pretty hard in getting you guides and getting you articles and tutorials on how to actually implement these and what use cases these can apply to. So I think that's pretty cool. And I hope that you take a look over there. And now we're going to go back to the presentation and just close off this session by saying thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful in some way. Like I said, we have so much content. We recently launched our Learn section, our handbook, testing handbook program, which is full of little snippets like this, little nuggets like this, where you can see how to put a specific test into motion or like action and how to actually implement it, different tools. So make sure to check that out. You can check that out on testkube.io/learn. So I'm also sharing that. Let's see. testkube.io/learn. Wow, I'm learning with this streaming thing. And yeah, we'll wait for you there. Join our Discord if you have any questions on how to perform your testing in Kubernetes. We're very happy to hop on and talk to you. If you need specific assistance, also, just we'll be happy to chime in and just help you out, even getting started, even getting Testkube set up so you can start running tests in no time. And if you want to actually talk to our product lead, suggest any features, you have any requests or suggestions, then feel free to message them at bruno@kubeshop.io. And I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for joining. Oh, hi, Guillermo. Yeah, sorry that you missed it, but it's going to be recorded on our LinkedIn and YouTube. If you have any following questions, then please leave them here and I'll make sure to go through them. But thank you so much for joining. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye.